and welcome to AM Prime on WESN Content Capital. I'm Keaton Shaw. Thank you very much for joining us on the program this morning. Later on in the program, we will welcome our first guest, and then, of course, it's Wild Wednesday, and I'm wondering what we have in store today. Oftentimes, I'm the one that is surprised. Ricardo Mead and his volunteers at the El Socorro Center for Wildlife Conservation don't tell me until the very moment they walk into the studio. But nevertheless, as we look forward to that, in recent times, I've been doing a lot of thinking in regards to the news, and we know that oftentimes it's most depressing, to say the least. And I'm not going to start off your morning depressing. I'm just going to ask a simple question. How do you cope with it? How do you deal with it? Because what I've realized is that more and more I consume the news, it just adds to fear and paranoia. Now, in recent times, speaking to one friend and one colleague, they've indicated to me that a simple solution is probably meditation. It helps ease your stresses and calm your mind. But it's so hard to even sit still and try and clear your mind when you are so consumed by the daily happenings. Don't know how to deal with that fear, don't know how to deal with that paranoia. So the mental stress, the anxiety, the effects it has on your psyche, the situation, how do you deal with it? How do you cope with it? And that's just adding to all the troubles that already exist, all the troubles that we are already dealing with. Now, yesterday morning across Trinidad and Tobago, there was traffic, a bit more traffic, just in case I understated exactly what happened. Unfortunately, at about 5:20 yesterday morning, a 66-year-old man, Krishna Ramgas, was knocked over on the Churchill Roosevelt Highway, the westbound of the Churchill Roosevelt Highway, just after Maritime Plaza. Now, reports suggest that a driver from Dabley was proceeding west in his Nissan Navara when he struck Ramgas, who was attempting to cross the busy highway. It's alleged that the driver had been in the right lane of the highway in the vicinity of the Maritime overpass when his right wing mirror made contact with Ramgas, causing him to fall. Then, several vehicles ran over him. It is quite unfortunate. Well, that's stating it so lightly to learn of the demise of the gentleman, Mr. Krishna Ramgas. But there's so many ways that you can look at it. One, even on my journeys on a morning into Port of Spain, at that time, lighting isn't the best. Let's admit it. Lighting across TNT, highway lighting, isn't always the best. But there are many individuals who are always on the median running across the highway at that time of the morning. It's something that's happening constantly, and the majority of times, I believe there are scavengers making their way to the Beetham landfill. Now, I'm not saying that's the case for Mr. Krishna Ramgas. I'm just simply saying that that is a factor that motorists deal with on a daily basis. And at those hours of the morning, no one should be speeding. But at the same time, it is perhaps the most dangerous to try and run across a highway. The second thing is, because of the accident itself, it took forensic officers hours to actually try and clear the scene, because according to the reports, multiple cars ran over him. And given that, I don't really have to paint more of a picture for you. And that's basically why forensic officers took so long to clear the scene. So there were hours and hours, approximately 5 hours of gridlock traffic across TNT from as far east as Piarco. And the situation here in Trinidad and Tobago was only compounded from the results of a study by the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean. That study says that Trinbagonians spend over 1 month of a year in traffic. Now, yes, we can go into the hours of productivity lost and the cost to business and the cost of productivity. I completely get that. I understand. That's the first thing that business chambers and people are going to look at. But sitting in traffic drains you. It frustrates you. It makes you go crazy at times. That's a huge aspect that we tend to ignore as well. But then what about the cost to the motorists? You may think that just sitting in traffic doesn't burn a lot of gas. It actually does. You're losing money sitting in traffic. If you can't get to your job, if you're a daily paid worker, or if you're an entrepreneur who can't make it to a client, that impact is devastating, to say the least. Again, especially in these times. Now, my understanding, and if my recollection proves correct, is that the Inter-American Development Bank did approve a rapid transit bus system not so long ago. I can't remember exactly the timeline, but what are the plans there? I mean, we have a bus route, right? We do have a bus route that is highly underutilized. Yes, I get it. People are going to say there's so much traffic on a bus route, even with the buses, but the system is inefficient. So the thing is that oftentimes I wonder if individuals don't necessarily care about the common folk, such as myself and yourself, who have to spend hours and hours in traffic, because many of them either have bus route passes that take them from the east to the west or the west to the east, or many of them have a police escort or blue lights on their vehicle that they can just turn on and drive on the shoulder. Yeah, we're not so fortunate, you see. Now, in some instances, you see efforts from the Ministry of Works and Transport, such as extending the highway, and that is the Uriah Butler Highway, extending by one lane on each side. But again, East-West Corridor, for example, is utter chaos, whether it be early in the morning or late in the evening. So, who's ever paying attention to what everyone is saying, do something about it. And if you're not paying attention, then you just simply don't care. And unfortunately, we're powerless in that instance, ladies and gentlemen. I can speak as much as I want to. I can call individuals and say, this is what's happening. This is what the people are saying. It can just fall on deaf ears. So, until something is done, unfortunately, you're going to have to continue sitting in traffic. And you might have to continue putting up with my errands. But 5 hours of traffic yesterday, trying to deal with that. I mean, I feel sorry for the forensic officers. And obviously for the family of this gentleman who has lost his life in a most tragic way. And the rest of Trent-Tobago just basically came to standstill. We couldn't move. We couldn't do absolutely anything. School children couldn't make it to school and sat in hours upon hours of traffic because they're very limited intersections as well, of which you can turn off if you need to turn around to get back home. And then on top of all of that, just for a moment, let's say the highway is absolutely clear and there is a smooth flow of traffic. By the time you hit the market in Port of Spain, which is the first traffic light just before Sea Lodge, that is where traffic builds up as well, because you've got multiple traffic points, multiple traffic stops that just add to the congestion, so traffic builds up there as well. Many a times it's traffic lights that actually cause traffic. And I often question, in a capital city where the roadways are narrow as it is and where there's so many vehicles, so much traffic for a small city, why is it that we have so many traffic lights? But then again, my questions may be stupid to others. Sure, no problem. We'll continue to sit in traffic and we'll continue to feel the mental exhaustion, and we'll just continue to be as we are here in Trent-Tobago without very little to no progress. I'd love to have a response from the relevant authorities in dealing with this. Our condolences extended to the family of Mr. Krishna Ramgas. It's really, really sad, tragic, unfortunate to say the least as to what has happened here. And certainly, our well wishes to all those commuters who spent 5 hours in traffic yesterday. I know that when you're heading out on the road this morning, your anxiety levels must be a lot greater. Let's take a quick break here on the program, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back.
Like many others trying to save on Carnival, Gabby thought she should go for 50% off makeup.
What about the other side? Well, Daisy 50% off offer. So, you know.
No makeup artist we don't know. What we do know is the savviest savings for Carnival are at KFC. Get a Chap Chap box, 1-piece chicken, 1 regular fries, and a biscuit for only $25.
Oh lad, I spending the money. Down the road on Saturday, January 27th at Fête Royale, the coronation, QRC grounds. Raymond and the entire team dealing it down. We're coming to bring the love to you. QRC Fête Royale, Saturday, January 27th. We come in, no kind of stress and no more drama in the all-inclusive. I want to see you there, man. All the biggest stars. We're going to be at Fête Royale, the coronation, QRC grounds. Mwah. See you there. Happy Carnival, guys.
My name is Carl Media, and I'm the founder and the host of Ever Increasing Voice Ministries. Join me every Saturday and Sunday on WESN, this powerful station, at 9 a.m. on Saturdays, 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. nightly. Also on Sundays, I'll be on at 7 a.m., 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. at night time. When you come here, we are getting people heavenly ready.
The newest book is here, Closer to the Church, the debut novel by author and former mayor Louis Lee Singh. Available at all the home store branches, Barataria, West Mall, Shogunas and C3 San Fernando. Paper-based bookshop 10 Nook Avenue, St. Anne's, WESN 30A Gattaca Street, Woodbrook, Metropolitan Bookshop, Ariapita Avenue, Woodbrook, and all RIK bookstores nationwide. Available online as paperback on Amazon.com and Kindle for e-readers. For more info, call 628-5835 or 389-6504. Also available from author Louis Lee Singh, I Used to Live in Heaven, Letters to My Granddaughters, and Local Government in Trinidad, Conspiracy Against the People.
Join me, Dr. Nalini Kokram, on What's Up Doc, where we discuss all your burning questions concerning health.
Trinidad and Tobago is among one of the highest risk group of patients that develop this form of genetic breast cancer.
What I'd like to take home from a short interview like this, screening. You must screen.
Because it's silent.
It's silent.
Yeah.
And because it's silent, you don't know it's there.
What's Up Doc, every Tuesday and Thursday on WESN, Content Capital.
I am Rondell Donowa, attorney at law and host of Strictly Legal on WESN Content Capital. Strictly Legal is a legal program geared towards informing you, the public, of your legal rights, responsibilities, and remedies. So be viewing Thursdays 10 a.m. to 10:30 a.m.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, our guest can't make it this morning, and that's okay. That tends to happen. We hope all is well. But in doing so, we do have some regional updates to share with you, starting with Haiti. A judge in Haiti has issued arrest warrants for more than 30 high-ranking officials accused of government corruption, including numerous former presidents and prime ministers. The warrants, issued last Friday and leaked on social media over the weekend, accused the officials of misappropriation of funds or equipment related to Haiti's National Equipment Center. Among those named are former presidents Michael Martley and Jacqueline Prévert, as well as former prime ministers Laurent Lanotte, Jean-Michel Le Pen, Evans Paul, and Jean-Henri Séant. So let's take a look at this report from Haiti.
In Haiti, a judge has issued arrest warrants for over 30 high-ranking officials, including former presidents and prime ministers, accusing them of corruption related to misappropriation of funds or equipment from Haiti's National Equipment Center. The center handles heavy machinery for tasks like road construction and disaster response. Notable figures named in the warrants include former President Michel Martelly, Jocelyn Prévert, and former Prime Ministers Laurent Lamotte, Jean-Michel Lapin, among others. None of those named have been arrested, and some have issued statements denying the allegations. The judge has requested the accused to meet for questioning as the investigation unfolds, but it is common for Haitian officials to ignore such requests without facing consequences. Local newspaper Le Nouveliste obtained a copy of a statement issued by Mr. Lapin in which he says that he was never officially notified of the arrest warrant. He also said that at no time during his 32-year political career did he ever become involved with the National Equipment Center. This case is particularly significant as high-ranking officials in Haiti are rarely charged with corruption, let alone brought to trial.
Moving on with regional updates to Jamaica. Jamaica's economy is set to expand for a fourth year in a row, though at a slower pace from previous years, the World Bank Group said in its latest projections for 2024. The multilateral organization said gross domestic product in Jamaica, was set to expand at 2% in 2024, down from 2.3% last year. If the predictions are accurate, it would mark the second year in a row where growth would prove weaker than previous 12 months. In 2025, the forecast is for growth momentum to continue, though at a slower 1.4% pace. If realized, that would mark 5 straight years of expansion coming out of the pandemic-induced decline in 2020, even though the pace of growth has been declining every year. This report from Jamaica.
If achieved, the 2.4% increase in gross domestic product GDP would be lower than the 2.6% growth estimated for 2023. It would also represent the third successive year of slower growth and the slowest half-decade of GDP growth in 30 years. Looking at Jamaica, the World Bank is projecting GDP growth of 2% for this year. This reflects an upward adjustment compared to the projection of total output increasing by 1.7% at the last report made in June 2023. The report says developing economies are projected to grow by 3.9%. This is more than 1 percentage point below the average of the previous 10 years. The Global Prospect Report also shows the growth forecast for advanced and emerging economies remains steady for this year. The projection for larger states remained at 1.2% for 2024. For 2025, the expectation is for advanced economies to see lower growth in output at 1.6%. In June last year, economic growth for larger economies in 2025 was forecast at 2.2%. Emerging markets are still set to grow at 4%. The bank says the possibility of a global recession has receded largely because of the strength of the U.S. economy. While the global economy is in a better place than it was last year, mounting geopolitical tensions could still create hazards for the global economy.
As we stick with Jamaica, Prime Minister, the Most Honourable Andrew Holness, says 2024 will be a year of peace, productivity and prosperity for the nation. He said that the new year comes with a lot of opportunities, and by bonding and working together, the country can begin to see some of what has always been possible.
As Jamaicans continue to plan and hope for the new year, Prime Minister Andrew Holness has outlined a New Year theme for his administration.
For 2024 will be peace, productivity, prosperity.
Jamaica recorded 1,393 murders in 2023. That's 7.8% fewer homicides compared to 2022, but still troubling for a small country. According to the Prime Minister, the crime-fighting measures being implemented must be supported by other efforts, including from corporate Jamaica.
Our industrialists, our businessmen, our small business people have an important role to play in getting us to peace.
Mr. Holness was speaking at the announcement ceremony for the National Baking Company's new factory in Catherine Hall, St. James. He believes major investments, like National's $6.7 billion investment in Western Jamaica, will help.
So, how do we get to peace? A big part of it is what we're doing right here. A big part of it is making the investments that will pull the people in, who we will train to higher order skills so that they can get income, so that they don't have to be drawn into crime.
National Bakery's chairman and CEO Gary Hendrickson says while the company will continue to invest, smaller entities must get more assistance to grow before they can be expected to invest.
We think it's the only way to grow the SMEs. We're going to have to get up and big brother them a little bit. I can't run the places for them. What we can do is help them with things like marketing and promotion. National will continue to support early childhood and continue to support STEM and the growth of STEM and the paths to STEM wherever possible.
Let's move to Guyana now. The inclusion of new and progressive technology is a part of the government's master plan for improving the security architecture of the country. This is according to Vice President Dr. Barra Jagdeo, who noted that in order to support the use of new technologies, modern infrastructure has become necessary. The new 12-story Brickdom police station is one of those that will support coordinated crime fighting across the country with new forensic labs and other amenities. And so long as that technology will now have the right environment to work with, Jagdeo promised new biometric project and facial recognition software on CCTV cameras soon. Isn't that quite amazing that you have a 12-story police station that includes the forensic labs necessary? I mean, yeah, the forensic lab is right there in the police station. Doesn't that help a lot? I wonder how that also impacts upon the paperwork. Let's take a look at this report.
From 2012, we would have passed many pieces of new legislation.
Have you gone to like Scotland Yard? I've gone there and seen how operations are done. The central police station, it might be 12 stories high, but it would be the nerve center for crime fighting across the country. And in a modern environment, we have to support the technology will support it. It has to be bolstered by good quality forensic labs. We're already putting in security cameras with facial recognition software. We're working on a biometric project that would allow us to know every person in Guyana, every criminal in Guyana who has a record, we can pinpoint where they are at any moment in time. Through facial recognition software, we'll be able to track every person who comes into our country who overstays their visa or anything else. All of that being worked in at different pieces.
Interesting. Utilization of new technology, national security. Anyway, moving forward now to St. Lucia, Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre unveiled plans for a 30-year redevelopment of the island's main port by Global Ports Holding, aiming to modernize the cruise ship infrastructure and boost tourism while retaining government ownership of the core facilities. So, this report from St. Lucia.
Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre provided new details on plans to redevelop the island's main seaport during a televised New Year's address to the nation. He said the project by developer Global Ports Holding to transform the port of Castries will begin under a 30-year agreement. Pierre reaffirmed the port itself has not been sold and remains in St. Lucia's hands.
Global Port Holdings, GPH, will soon start work on the redevelopment and modernization of the cruise infrastructure of Port Castries and the Soufrière waterfront on a 30-year concessionary agreement. The two ports have not been sold and remain national public assets owned by the government of St. Lucia.
The redevelopment aims to improve cruise infrastructure at the port, which accounts for 10% of overall revenue. The remaining 90% of the cargo will stay with the existing Port Castries entity. Pierre said the project will be funded through a revenue-sharing model with GPH.
The truth is that an average 10% of SLASPA's revenue is generated directly from cruise ship operations, and it is this which will fund the development on a revenue-sharing agreements. The cargo operations will continue to account for 90% of SLASPA's revenue, and this will remain with SLASPA.
The plan is to modernize aging facilities and expand berthing capacity for more cruise and cargo ships. Talk of upgrading Port Castries date back to the 1970s, but a lack of economies of scale have hampered such efforts. The Port Authority in recent memory has been constrained by debt.
SLASPA's cruise-related debts of approximately 20 million US will be paid by GPH.
Analysts say an upgraded Port Castries could boost St. Lucia's vital tourism industry and improve freight transportation logistics. According to a World Bank report, private sector participation through mechanisms like concessions and leasing can improve port efficiency, management, and financial sustainability. But regulation is still needed to protect the public interest.
Let's stick with St. Lucia for a moment. The administration in St. Lucia is defending its record where gas prices are concerned. Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre believes the opposition's attacks on the cost of fuel are baseless and insincere.
Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre is hitting back at the opposition's criticism about exorbitant gas prices under his leadership.
We can't look at gas prices in isolation. It's unfair.
The SLP administration says it subsidized cooking gas to the tune of $11.1 million in 2023. According to the government, this is greatly assisting the average household from feeling the pressures of high gas costs. Pierre has labeled the opposition's attack disingenuous.
A single mother with 5 children will have to buy a tank of 20-pound LPG for $70? That's what we want? Is that what we want?
Pierre points to an opposition release he says backs his argument that many countries grapple with inflationary pressures. The finance minister urges citizens to consider the broader context, emphasizing the government's subsidization efforts to support his message.
When gas was at $13, the subsidies on LPG was less than $10. It was 7-something and 8-something. The subsidies now on LPG sometimes goes as high as $30. So this is what you have to look at. You have to look at the holistic picture.
Pierre defends his administration's policy of subsidizing cooking gas prices directly rather than reducing gas prices at the pumps.
We believe that single mothers in particular and lower income households, we can't allow them to pay $70 for a tank, a 20-pound cylinder of gas. We can't.
St. Lucia boasts the OECS region's lowest value-added tax at 12.5%. Prime Minister Pierre says the government actively reviews gas price factors daily and will make necessary adjustments when required.
And finally from Antigua and Barbuda, the Department of Environment has made a major advance in its electric public bus project. Funds were wired on Friday to procure a fleet of electric buses set to revolutionize public transportation. Final region update from Antigua and Barbuda.
The Department of Environment's charge towards a cleaner, greener future is gaining momentum with the purchase of cutting-edge electric buses designed to energize the public transportation system and combat climate change. Director Ambassador Diane Blacklane has announced the significant payment Friday after an extensive selection process.
We've went through 6 months of selecting, more than 6 months, like 8 months of selecting the right bus at the right price. And so we're wiring off that money today for our first big order. So we're very excited and nervous.
This green initiative, part of the government's effort to mitigate climate change effects, is being realized in partnership with the Bus Association and supported by a grant of US $560,000.
They have met with us and they're selecting their buses, and it will be owned and managed by the Bus Association, and they will come up with a system to share the use of the buses on certain routes and among the membership.
The selected buses aren't just eco-friendly, they're also inclusive. Designed with accessibility in mind, some of the buses cater to those with disabilities and provide convenience for people with young children.
We're ordering buses that if you are in a wheelchair, you can go on the bus. So if you have a stroller, in town, a lot of women get into town without a stroller. They have their babies in their hand. It can be quite stressful for them. You can actually go on a bus with a stroller. You can go on some of the buses we're ordering with a bike.
Ambassador Blacklane forecasts that in the next decade, all paid transport in Antigua and Barbuda will transition to electric power. The first batch of these buses is expected to grace our roads in about 4 months, setting the wheels in motion towards a cleaner, more sustainable Antigua and Barbuda.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we take a break here on EM Prime, and when we return, we'll get into some more news this morning. We'll be right back.
Don't stop, anchor down in the ocean, watching you sailing by.
This is EA Airfinals and I will be there live. QRC 2024, we're gonna give you more back by live band or the link up. Everybody and them will fight. We don't want no bad vibes in the mask. QRC, pick a side, coronation, pick a side, link up.
You make me
Fan Zone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today. The newest book is here, Closer to the Church, the debut novel by author and former mayor Louis Lee Singh, available at all the home store branches, Barataria, West Mall, Shogunas and C3 San Fernando, paper-based bookshop 10 Nook Avenue St. Anne's, WESN 30A Gattaca Street Woodbrook, Metropolitan Bookshop Ariapita Avenue Woodbrook, and all RIK bookstores nationwide. Available online as paperback on Amazon.com and Kindle for e-readers. For more info, call 628-5835 or 389-6504. Also available from author Louis Lee Singh, I Used to Live in Heaven, Letters to My Granddaughters, and Local Government in Trinidad, Conspiracy Against the People.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, The Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378, or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
Is it politics? What is it? Is it that nobody cares about sports?
The kind of support that sport used to get in the past is no longer here.
The thing is, taking a knee doesn't mean that that's the only thing you're doing on it.
Right.
Taking a knee along with other stuff.
Samantha, what are you looking forward to when you return home to Trinidad and Tobago after winning the title?
Thank you very much for speaking it into existence.
Is there no pressure on Nicholas Ball?
It makes me more motivated to work hard and to go out there and rep the red, white and black.
Why are we sending a team to the Winter Olympics?
There are a number of
of Trinbagonians who are in the diaspora and have grown up in winter sport. It's an opportunity that the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee will not close the door on.
I also believe in the players that we have. Once you can motivate the players, you can get the best out of them.
Welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. We continue to share updates with you globally now. A new report suggests Chinese researchers discovered and identified the virus that causes COVID-19 in late December of 2019, at least 2 weeks before Beijing made the deadly virus features public. This raises fresh concerns about what China was aware of during the pandemic's critical early stages. We take a look at this report from the WION, or the World is One News Network.
Keat, who is a China affairs expert, live from Kuala Lumpur. Welcome to the broadcast, Mr. Collins.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Mr. Collins, over the years, there have been several reports claiming that Beijing could have contained the virus. They knew about it. They could have done more. How do you view these recent findings?
Well, it aligns with this initial, argument and prediction that has been made by, some U.S. officials, including former President Trump, that, of course, there were some conflicting conclusions as to, the origin of the virus. Now that there have been this lively debate as to whether it is, a lab leak or, it concurs with the original, pointed, main cause of the virus coming from the Wuhan seafood market. So over the years, we have seen also this new evidence being resurfaced as to how, Beijing has, as we all know, the initial phase, a couple of weeks, and now we have seen that they have almost 2 weeks of prior knowledge of, this virus sequence, and yet, the incompetence of, the Beijing officials and Chinese administration of letting the world know about or at least letting WHO making them aware of this new virus, and that we have also seen how in the initial phase the Chinese administration has also stated that there's no evidence of human-to-human transmission, and that those with no symptoms are not being able to transmit the virus to others. So this was the initial information, and we have also seen, of course, a lot of cover-ups in terms of silencing the doctors that have pointed out the influx of patients in hospitals, and the consequences are dire, as you can see now. Also, Trump has also accused China of letting the people traveling abroad, and with this the impact of the virus now being made at the global level, and that at the same time restricting its own citizens from traveling across its own provinces and districts. So this is the main point that has been argued, and that we have also seen this lack of competence, and the cover-up has also cost, of course, the world millions of lives, as well as untold damages and effects that we have seen until now. So it is a sad state of affair to hear this.
Mr. Collins, I wanted to also get your thoughts on this. Now, there is hardly anyone we know who did not lose someone during that period of time. That year, 2020, 2021, people passed away all over the world. People died all over the world. Everyone lost some or the other family member or somebody you knew who was not there anymore. And ever since, there have been so many other deaths which have also happened as a result of the ongoing pandemic or the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, is there any way of holding China accountable, and what happens next? Because now, again, we're hearing news of a resurgence of the virus. Is there any chance that China would own up to it, or at least take some kind of steps now to prevent it?
Definitely, because I think the world has to act, and of course, in order to prevent this from happening ever again. And the WHO has been singled out as basically a China apologist, and what Trump has argued that, of course, the funding that he has received from the U.S. administration, millions of dollars, but yet in initial phase, as you can see, how WHO has also been slow to act, and that just receiving the information being given officially by China and dismissing also some of the urgent the urgent issues of the virus. And now we have also seen how the subsequent visits to China, a lot of information have been withheld, and that some of the data and all have been deleted, as you all know, and a lot of different arguments have been put forward by different authors and researchers. There have been books published, and I think this has to be held accountable. And Trump has also argued that China needs to be held accountable in some forms or the other, because this is the impact has been devastating throughout the world.
The impact was definitely devastating for families all over the world.
There have to be some economic repercussions as well. We have to have some economic repercussions, or for China to own up to this mistake, and owing the world an apology, and owing the whole world an honest apology, and also to make sure that this would not happen ever again in the future.
Apology is the least that China can do at the moment. Thank you so much for joining in, Mr. Collins, and sharing all your insights on this with us.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. Interesting news indeed. Now moving across to a more intriguing news story. Global Firepower has released the latest rankings for the world's most powerful militaries in a world that is currently plagued by war. I think many people were looking at this. Now, which country ranks first? Which country has the weakest military? We take a look at this report.
It's 2024, and our world is in the middle of two wars, the Russia-Ukraine war and the Israel-Hamas war. And as these two wars rage on, there is a growing fear that there could be more conflicts, as more and more countries boost their military capabilities. At a time like this, it helps to look at just how powerful each country's military really is. Global Firepower has done just that. It's a website that keeps a track of global defense information, and earlier today it released its annual rankings of militaries around the world. What do the rankings actually reveal? Which country has the most powerful military, and where does India stand on the list? Let's find out. On the first spot is the United States. It has the highest power index, a military spending of $876 billion, and over 2 million military personnel. Besides this, the nation commands 13,300 aircraft, 983 formidable attack helicopters, 4,657 tanks. The report says that the U.S. has attained its dominant position through unparalleled influence in critical material, finances, resource domains. America's global supremacy also extends into technological frontiers, with some stellar achievements in the medical, aerospace, and telecommunications sectors. On the second spot is Russia. It has a military spending of $86 billion. The Russian strength is further fueled by advanced technology, a formidable and adept military leadership, and a significant strategic influence globally. However, the report says that the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war has led to certain deficiencies in leadership, preparedness, and supply chain management within the Russian military. But despite these shortcomings, Russia maintains its hold on the second position among the world's top 10 armies. And this resilience underscores Russia's enduring military might. On the third spot is Russia's ally, China. It has a total military spending of $292 billion. China also has 3,166 aircraft, 4,950 tanks among its substantial resources. The country has been making substantial efforts to bolster its naval, air power, and land warfare capabilities. Plus, it also enjoys significant advantages with significant manpower. And guess who is on the fourth spot? India. With a power index of 0.1023, India has bagged the fourth spot on the list of the world's most powerful countries when it comes to the military. India has a military spending of $81 billion. This is the highest number of military personnel for any country. India also possesses a total of 2,210 aircraft, over 4,614 tanks, 295 assets in its naval forces, The report says that India's formidable standing among the world's top 5 military forces is attributed to factors like its substantial population, careful emphasis on digitization and modernization, and the efficacy of its domestic military-industrial complex. These capabilities solidify India's position as a force to be reckoned with on the global military landscape. And on the 5th spot is South Korea. It has a military spending of $46.4 billion and a total number of the military personnel also boasting of impressive inventory comprising over 133,000 vehicles, 739 helicopters, which includes a formidable array of 112 attack helicopters. The report says that South Korea's commitment to security resonates deeply, driven by enduring tensions with North Korea that have persisted for decades now. South Korea's military prowess also serves as a tangible testament to its unwavering dedication to safeguarding national interests and ensuring regional stability. These were the top 5. If we speak of the rest, on the 6th spot is the UK, followed by Japan on the 7th spot, Turkey on the 8th spot, Pakistan on the 9th. Italy has the 10th most powerful military in the world. These countries have achieved these ranks by taking into account over 60 factors like the total number of troops, military equipment, financial stability, their respective military budgets, geographical location, resources available for usage, just to name a few. What about the weakest militaries in the world? Well, Bhutan has been found to have the weakest military along with Moldova, Suriname, Somalia, Benin. They all have the lowest power index, the least number of military personnel, and the lowest number of active military personnel. All these rankings assume even more significance given how conflicts and wars continue to rear their ugly head in the year 2024. And here's hoping that these conflicts die down as the year progresses. Now available in your country.
Ladies and gentlemen, we take a break here on AM Prime. When we return, it's Wild Wednesday. We'll be right back.
Seven is out, all day is in. WESN News on the hour.
Join me, Dr. Nalini Kokram, on What's Up Doc, where we discuss all your burning questions concerning health.
Trinidad and Tobago is among one of the highest risk group of patients that develop this form of genetic breast cancer.
What I'd like to take home from a short interview like this, screening. You must screen.
Because it's silent.
It's silent.
Yeah.
And because it's silent, you don't know it's there.
What's Up Doc, every Tuesday and Thursday on WESN, Content Capital.
Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378 or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
Every day, we communicate through stories. Stories of ourselves, our challenges, our goals, our experiences, and our aspirations. Storytelling is an art that we have mastered. WESN Film Studios comprises a collaborative team of experts with extensive industry experience locally, regionally, and internationally. The ability of your business to successfully communicate with your preferred audience depends on the strength of the stories you tell. Your vision should be communicated in a high-quality, professional, and creative way. From concept to post-production, advertising to film, multi-camera productions, live events, streaming, and virtual conferencing, we are WESN Film Studio. Let your own unique voice be heard and your vision realized. Call us today at 628-5835 for your next production.
Yo, it's Rome! And this year we want to have a safe carnival just like every other carnival. So this year we're talking a smart carnival. We're talking safety measures against real threats. We're gonna fet smart, we're gonna play smart, and move smart because it's all about rum, gal, and money. Not that don't call way, no time for folly. We jamming whole day. Jamming on the roadway. If you see me in a Benz or a Beamer, hustle hard for me.
I am the whole blinking market. What we say? Hey, it's your girl Nadia Watson, and I'm gonna be performing live at QRC Fete Royale, the coronation. I'm bringing my whole blinking band, and we bringing the whole blinking market. Every time I take a drink, I feel like whining. What we say? Inside a basket, I am the whole blinking market.
Welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. And as I said, it's Wild Wednesday, and our guest is just a bit smaller than the guest we had last week. We welcome to the program Luna. Say hello, Luna. And we welcome our colleague and our friend from the El Socorro Center for Wildlife Conservation, Mr. Jeremy Lewis. How are you doing this morning, sir?
Doing quite well.
Welcome back to the program.
Again.
She seems very active, like absolutely active this morning. But before we even get into that, exactly who is Luna?
So Luna, well, most people may recognize Luna looking at her on the TV screens or from wherever you're watching. But Luna is a rainbow boa. She's quite common here in Trinidad, so people tend to find them around their houses and whatnot. But they also reside in the rainforest as well.
Oh, okay. So they do venture into people's houses?
They do venture close to people's residence, so oftentimes you might find them between some old bricks, under some galvanized, behind just some rubbish or whatnot, they are attracted to things like rats and whatnot, so they love to eat rats, right, and small mammals, so that is why you may find them closer to your residence and other snakes. Yeah.
Does that have anything to do also, because at the beginning of the program, she was crawling into my sleeve, into my jacket, and you mentioned something about being nocturnal.
Yes.
So is it also that she just looks for dark, cool spots during the day as well?
Correct. So yes, as I said, the species is a nocturnal species, so they do most of their hunting and most of their activity happens at night, right? So when she's here and she saw your dark sleeve, she wants to retreat there to go and curl up and get some rest there. So the same way they will find these little tight, dark spots in people's homes to settle and rest.
How old is Luna?
So Luna is about 2.5 years old. She'll turn 3 in July.
She's still a bit of a juvenile.
So she's still a bit of a juvenile, yeah.
Hence all that energy.
Yeah, correct.
Oh, okay. And I am seeing the hues, by the way. You can see the, wow, that is incredible. I've never actually seen these snakes up closer. I've heard of them. I've never seen these snakes up close.
Yeah.
But they seem to be the most common. It seems to be the most common boa that people speak about here in Trinidad.
Yes, correct.
How come Luna is so active?
So it's just due to her age again, when she was in her enclosure, she was sleeping, and then as well as, her coming here, the different scents, the lights, everything that is going around. So she's just exploring, getting to know her surroundings a bit.
Okay. Is there anything that I shouldn't do? Or am I okay so far?
You're okay, just keep moving with her. Keep your movements nice and slow and precise. Try not to hover over her head too much, but you're doing quite well here as is.
Yeah, because I remember one lesson you did tell me last week is that when dealing with a snake, never go above a snake.
Never go above a snake, correct. The reason being is that most predators come from above. So things like hawks and whatnot, owls, will attack from above. So the snake interprets that as a threat, as a predator, and they tend to get a little bit more defensive, which is better to scoop them from underneath, right? Because that is is less threatening in a sense.
Is she going to get bigger than this?
So yes, rainbow boas, so females in general will tend to bridge to about 6 feet.
Always the females? Huh?
Always the females. And the reason being is that they have to carry the babies, yeah? So they need more length, more girth to be able to carry, because they could drop anywhere between 12 to 20 babies at a time.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it live birth as well?
Live birth as well, yeah.
Oh.
Right? Males usually average around like 4 or 5 feet. Yeah.
What is the mating as compared to, like last week when you spoke about the undercurrent? We know we said that sometimes the female would consume the male afterwards. Is that also something that we see in rainbow boas?
Now with the rainbow boas, no. So, the boys will come and they have these little spurs at the end of just by their tail end there, or what we call the cloaca, right? So they will come and they'll wrap that tail around the female and stimulate her to breed. After the male is finished breeding, he goes his way. Female isn't interested in eating them. Their diet doesn't include other snakes. It's mostly small birds, mammals, and things like, little lizards, etc.
What is the gestation period like? Because I'm asking that because I'm curious, like, how often do these snakes mate? How often would they mate?
So these snakes will mate anywhere between once, twice for the year, but
really?
Mostly, just about once for the year. Gestation period, I believe, is just about 110 days, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Wow. The thing is, I love snakes, but I've never met such an active snake. I honestly never have met such an active snake. I don't want to tilt too much, but I just want the viewers, if you can see the hue on her. I don't know if we can just get a bit of a close-up there. Yeah, you're not going to see much of the hue on her because of how active she is. Try and get a better shot of you in the moment. But as you were saying, even in terms of diet, what is it they consume? Because of the size, I'm assuming, as you said, just small animals, very small animals.
So yeah, usually they wouldn't eat anything larger than like an adult rat when they get to their full size. They can, some specimens, if they're a little bit larger, they can take down something like a baby or goatee, right? But these guys would typically go for something like a small manikou, or what we call the black-eared opossum. But usually rats, large lizards, so when they get big, they can take down any iguana, birds and whatnot. So that is typically their diet.
And what about a chicken? A full-grown snake, could they take down a chicken?
Not a full-grown one of these. Nah, they wouldn't be able to take one like a full chicken, right? They'll be able to take down something more of like a small, medium-sized chicken at max, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. What about, because again, if I reflect on the anaconda, spent most of his life in water. What about these snakes?
So these snakes are semi-arboreal, meaning that, they spend some of their time in the trees as well as the ground. Most of their time in the trees is when they are young, so, from the time they are neonates or newborns to about her age, probably about 3-4 years old, they'll spend a lot of the time in the trees, right? As they age and they get a little bit more heavy, you'll find them more on the ground, and that is where they will stay. But they still retain that aspect to climb trees and whatnot. They don't typically spend much time in water, but they are good swimmers.
Oh, and what are some of the predators? Because I know you mentioned that hawks, for example. What are some of the predators? Would, as we would see in anacondas, would bigger rainbow boas take on smaller rainbow boas?
Typically, no. So typically, they will not go after snakes, even their younger counterparts. Their natural predators would be things like hawks, owls. There will be we have species of snakes here in Trinidad that eat other snakes, right? So things like that. Ocelots will take them on as well, right? And then, their biggest predator here, human beings. So from the time somebody sees them, they ask no question, they pull out a cutlass, chop, 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 dead. So
you realize that in probably all of the conversations that we've had, the number one predator for the animals that we've had on the program are human beings.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Well, why? What is it? Is it just food? Is it people enjoy eating these snakes?
It's not most of the times. It's not about eating them. It is the misconception about these snakes, about these animals. The thing is that there are many stigmas against snakes, stating that they're evil. They slide, they'll kill you.
Yeah.
Oftentimes people are, they don't know the facts on snakes. So they see a snake and they immediately think, oh, well, it might size me up and eat me. It might size up my dog and eat my dog. It might kill my child or whatnot. And the first thing that they do, they kill it, right? But these animals are not what people make them out to be or what media tends to make it out to be in this bad light. They do serve a crucial role in our ecosystem, and they have no intentions of trying to hurt anybody. Right? Their main purpose is they like to hide, they will eat, and just rest themselves. They have no intentions of causing any harm to human beings at all.
But that's the thing. Not aggressive at all in any way.
No.
In fact, quite the opposite. She just wants to explore.
She just wants to explore, yeah.
She just wants to explore. Is it okay if I rest her there?
Yeah, for sure.
What about, so we've been learning a lot about snakes and also the temperatures of snakes. Seeing that these snakes are nocturnal, at any point in time, do they need to spend time in the sun?
So they will come out, though they are nocturnal, right, they will come out during the day to bask in the sun, right? So they will get little spots of sunlight in the forest floor. They'll come out and bask to heat their body up a little bit, right, or thermoregulate. So once they get warm enough, then they go back and retreat to a cool area to cool down, right? But most of the times they will spend most of their times under a rock or between some bricks or whatnot.
So I'm sure one of the questions that you get asked quite often is, and I'm curious myself, exactly how do snakes get their water intake?
So snakes could get their water intake two ways. They could actually drink water. Right?
Oh, so they could drink water?
Yeah, they could drink water. It's actually cool to watch them drink water, but they just dip their little lips to the surface of the water and you would literally see them sucking in the water. But the next way, which is quite cool, is that their bodies, right, their skin could absorb water from the atmosphere, correct? Yeah.
And I thought it was quite the opposite. I thought that given the scales, it was to try and prevent moisture from getting in.
No. So they could go and sit in a body of water and absorb water that way. If rain falls, they could get water from that way, and then just the general humidity in the air will give them water. So
she also looks like she's just shed recently.
So she would have shed about a month ago, but she's actually going into another shed. So
really?
If you look under her belly, it looks almost kind of pinkish in color.
Yes, I can see that.
So that is the first early sign that she's going into a shed soon. So probably by next week, her scales will start to become very dull and gray-like, and her eye caps, her eyes will turn hazy and a bluish color. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that is interesting. Are they vulnerable when they're shedding?
So they are a lot more vulnerable when they're shedding because they can't see properly, right? They really can't see properly, so they tend to be a lot more defensive while they are shedding, right? You know, so usually when they're shedding, we tend not to interact with them as much because they can't see well, and if they can't see well, they may perceive anything to be a threat, and they will lash out that way.
So I know that each snake is different, but the color of her eyes compared to the anaconda last week, and before that we had another boa on, they're very different. Why is that different for each snake if they are, well, all boas?
So the fact that they're all boas, yes, they'll share similar things, but each of them has their own adaptation, right? So with the anaconda, you notice that the eyes were on top of the head,
yes,
right? The nostrils were on top of the head. Her eyes are the side, right? Also compared to the red-tailed boa, the red-tailed boa is a little bit more girthier.
And I believe that's what we had on here.
Correct, yeah. So each of them, yes, they're part of the same Boidae family, but they will have slightly different adaptations to help them with their with how they traverse the forest and how they hunt and whatnot. So
could these snakes, because I'm also looking at the tail, do they use that tail as a tool for anything? Because it seems as though it's like she's using that tail independently as compared to the rest of her body.
Correct. So no, they don't use it as a tool. So many people may think that a snake could take their tail and stab you with it or whatnot. No. Their tails are like little anchors. So when they climb in, they will, so as you notice, she's wrapped her tail around your finger.
Yes.
That is almost like an anchor, you know. So in the event that she was to slip, her tail will hold, keep her up, and she could be able to correct herself back onto your hand.
I'm also taking a look at the skeleton. The skeleton in boas are all very similar, is it?
All very similar, yeah. So they have one very long spine and rows and rows and rows of ribs, yeah.
And rows and rows and rows of muscle.
And yeah, correct. Yeah. They're just packed with muscle.
Also, what I found interesting is, and I don't think the viewers would have gotten to see this, but if we just take a look at her mouth, you can see how the mouth really is. It's very long, like very long-lipped.
Long-lipped, yeah.
And that is because of how they would expand their jaws to consume their food, because they swallow it whole.
Correct. So yes, they will swallow their prey whole, and yes, it is an adaptation for them to be able to do that. If you actually look along her lips as well, you'll notice these little grooves on her lips.
Yeah.
Those are actually heat-sensing pits, right? So she is able, while she's hunting, to detect prey using those heat-sensing pits.
Oh, that is, wow. But how do they breathe when they're swallowing prey that is a lot bigger than they are?
So snakes have this adaptation where they could actually basically like stick their trachea out. So while they are swallowing, especially if it's a very large prey item, you would notice that they will take their trachea and stick it to the side. So while they are swallowing, they are also breathing. So it's almost like a breathing tube for them then. So they stick it out to the side while they swallow, and they continue breathing while they're swallowing. So they don't choke to death if they're swallowing something.
Snakes are extraordinary creatures, huh?
Yeah.
They're absolutely extraordinary. Now, what about the pattern? I was told that each snake has a different pattern. Is that the same with rainbows?
So yes, same with rainbow boas. I mean, to the average person, they'll all look the same, right? But each of them has their own different marking, just like you and I, right? Just like our fingerprints is all different, right? When these guys start off young, right, their pattern is a lot more bold and vibrant. As they age, it becomes chocolate brown, and then as she gets older as well, it will become like one uniform brown-looking color.
Oh.
So she would lose that pattern and will start to fade away as time goes by.
And they've also got a softer underbelly. Again, is that to help with movement?
It's to aid with movement, correct, yeah.
Oh, I think it's, I'm like, I'm trying to talk to you, and I'm handling her at the same time. I'm like, again, I can't stress this. I've never met such an active snake before.
Yeah.
I've never met such an. Are they generally this active in the wild? Or is it that she's just a curious little Luna.
Yeah, no, most snakes are curious by nature, but again, these guys tend to be a lot more active than some other snakes, right? But you could see that her movements are although she's active, they are very slow, controlled. So this is a comfortable snake, and she's just exploring. You can see she has a lot of tongue flicks going on.
Yes, yeah.
So she's just picking up a lot of information within this studio here.
Oh, okay, I got you very much, Luna. And she doesn't seem very disturbed at all. She doesn't seem like... But again, if someone was to come across this in the wild, would that snake be similar to how Luna is currently? Like, not fearless at all, just exploratory, doesn't really care, just is trying to figure out what's going on. There you go, she was going my jacket again.
So, encounters in the wild around your home, again, if it's a wild specimen, they will tend to be a little bit more defensive, right? But these snakes in nature, they are a lot more docile in nature. Obviously, if you see a wild specimen and you try to interact with it, the chances of getting bitten are high because this is an animal that has not learned how to interact with people, right? They don't understand that people are not threats, right? Luna had time spending with us. We worked with her. So now she's very handleable. I wouldn't recommend doing that with any other snake in the wild because the risk of getting bitten is high. Although a bite from these guys, you just wipe it off, it's not a big deal, wouldn't send it to the hospital or anything like that. But these animals, and they again, sometimes we've seen stories where people pick them up and after some time, they're very easy to handle. And that is even wild specimens, right? So by nature, they are quite docile, not very aggressive snakes. But again, they are defensive.
And therefore, even though Jeremy is saying that these are very docile, it's not encouraging you to go and look for these snakes and pick them up in the wild. Just leave them be. Leave them alone. We're lucky that the centre has these specimens and they're animal ambassadors, essentially. So we are able to show them we're able to show you these guys, and these guys were able to see you as well. I am quite intrigued. What causes that hue, by the way, on the snake?
So on their scales, there are these tiny microprisms. Now, when light hits it, it reflects.
Take me back to primary school there,
So it refracts the light. Now, the rainbow boas, they got that name because of that. And as you're seeing there, you're seeing all those different iridescent hues popping up. But most snakes do have it, yeah? But it's just with the rainbow boas, it tends to stand out a lot more.
You ever got yourself in a bind where you're trying to handle Luna and you're like, where are you going, Luna? What do you want me to do?
Yeah, of course. So what you want to do is, so you'll just find her head,
There
and
you
just
go.
redirect her head, correct?
There you go. I got to redirect her whole body. These snakes are very special, aren't they?
Yeah, no,
very special, aren't they? But they're all part of what Trinidad has to offer in terms of our biodiversity.
Correct, yeah.
Why? I don't understand why people want to bring harm or do any harm or...
Again, it is the stigma against snakes. You know, we look at what they say about snakes in religion and how movies would portray them and whatnot. And, you know, they're a lot different from us. And most of the times, people are afraid of what they don't understand, right? So they look at a creature like this, you know, it doesn't blink, it doesn't kind of talk, it doesn't move like us, look like us. You know, they could be a little bit intimidating to the average person. And the first thing that we look to do is we kill it. You know, we kill something that we don't understand. And again, we're afraid of what we don't understand. But these animals, and they play such a huge role in the ecosystem. You know, and this is why the Elsa Crow Wildlife Center is here to give a voice to the voiceless. That is why, you know, that is why we do what we do. That's why we encourage people not to kill these animals when they see it. You know, to call us, and we will come and, you know, remove the animal and get it somewhere safe.
She looks like she's just found a comfortable spot.
Yeah. So she's comfortable there now, yeah.
All right. Well, Jeremy, I want to thank you very much for coming on the program this morning. Before we leave, any last words or messages you'd like to share with the viewing public?
Yeah, you know, again, people, thanks for tuning in, right? These animals, and they play a crucial role in our ecosystem. Right? If it is you do encounter these animals, they have no intention to harm you. They're not going to run you down. Their main mission isn't to cause harm to anybody, right? You could call the El Socorro Wildlife Center and we will be there to remove said animal. But it is important to learn about these animals and understand their role in our ecosystem and how they impact our ecosystem. So yeah.
And I want to thank Jeremy for making the time to come back on AM Prime this morning. We got a lot of great reviews for last week's edition, where Jeremy Lewis and Jeremy Beecham, the two Jeremys, sounds like a band, doesn't it? They brought anacondas to the program, and I mean, you would have seen it, the size of those creatures, but just how majestic and beautiful they are. Jeremy, thanks so much for this morning, and thanks for the work that you do, man.
Of course, of course.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it seems as though Luna has really found her sweet spot, but we're going to say goodbye to her in a bit. So it's goodbye from us, though, here on AM Prime. Thanks so much for being with us this morning, and wishing you a good day ahead, a productive one, a safe one. I'm Keaton Shaw, and this has been the Content Capital, and we'll see you again tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.